Welcome to The Mindful Life with Waylon Lewis, yours truly, coming to you live, but not really live since you're hearing it later, in Boulder, Colorado with my trusty half-hound Redford, who is T-minus half an hour from asking for dinner. Let's take a good posture, your best posture of the day. Put your hands on your thighs with respect and friendliness and open eyes and a little smile. Give it away. And bow. So today we're going to talk about another audience request. So always send in your comments, in your reviews, and every time you review or share or comment or listen or watch, whether it's the podcast or the video, you're keeping this going. The other way you can keep it going is to support our sponsor, Noom, N-O-O-M. They're super cool and mindful, and we only work with super cool and mindful sponsors. So we're honored. Thank you, Noom. Support them. Say Elephant Journal or The Mindful Life or Waylon Lewis sent you, or Redford sent you, and you'll keep us going. So today, the audience question is in response to something I shared by an artist I love, who shared a quote by Martin Luther King Jr., Reverend. And Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Nonviolence means avoiding not only external physical violence, but also internal violence of spirit. You not only refuse to shoot a man, but you refuse to hate him." And no big coincidence, but this is a very timely question in this period in America particularly, but all over the world, where we're having nationalism and otherism, blaming others, blaming color, people of color, brown and black people, blaming women, blaming minorities, blaming immigrants, legal or otherwise, blaming, Democrats, blaming Republicans. We're all blaming each other all the time. Even in communities devoted to peace and love, like I'm in a Beto O'Rourke community, and Beto's like, so he's distinguished from the other candidates in being super optimistic and wanting to bring people together, Republicans and Democrats, which is what he worked to do. He went to counties in Texas where 96% of the folks had voted for Trump. There was no way he was going to win the county's vote, but he still went. He went to a gun show because he wants to dialogue. He believes, just like in Buddhism, we believe that human beings are fundamentally good, that yes, we get confused and selfish, but fundamentally we're decent, we care. When we see sorry for this analogy, but when we see a puppy kicked by someone being cruel, our hearts leap out spontaneously from their chest. We care. It's pre-thought. Empathy is natural. Empathy is called the most transformative, powerful human emotion, and we're going to get to that later. But even in that loving Beto O'Rourke community, you'll find people hating on others, and not just Trump fans, which Beto will criticize Trump very directly and very strongly and very clearly, and I think that's important and justified. Any leader particularly needs to take responsibility for their actions, their words. But Beto will generally refuse to criticize voters of Trump, who may in some way be being taken in by a man who, has his charisma, has his strength, is calling out some problems, but then is kind of approaching it all from the wrong way. If any of you are wondering why we're talking about Trump, we're going to move on. But the basic point is that even in this loving community of positive Beto fans, people get super hypercritical of other candidates, of other people, of journalists. There's a lot of hate for the media, which is, very similar in my mind to the Trump world. Hating on media is, to me, really too easy and kind of a degraded thing to do in a democracy. Criticizing media for what they've done is always appropriate if it's not good journalism. Bringing it back to the point, I'm also vegan. Vegans are about love and about life, right? We're really about life and love. But there's so much anger and frustration and kind of judgment, prejudgment in the vegan community for non-vegans, right? How could you, look at these sad pigs. They're super intelligent, and you love your dog. You're spending billions of dollars a year in America on dogs and cats, but you're torturing and killing pigs. God damn it. You get so frustrated and so angry and so burned out and so toxic on some level, right? So how on earth do we, as Martin Luther King Jr. is saying here, avoid vilifying even villains, right? Even those like Trump. People say, oh, you just hate Trump. I honestly don't hate Trump. I think Trump is a rapist, literally. His ex-wife accused him of such in the legal papers. I think he's a sexual assaulter. I think he doesn't understand or care what democracy is. I think he is dishonest in his business dealings. I think that's pretty factual. I don't even think he's particularly smart, but I think he's a genius in terms of Twitter and social media, the use of that. I don't think he uses that genius for good. But I look at him and I say, well, it's giving him too much credit to hate him. I think he's a really malignant symptom of a lot of us searching for answers and searching for a way to assign blame and feel better about what the hell is going on. It's a confusing time. What I truly hate is people being too lazy to go vote. That's what I hate. And I don't even hate those people. I hate the laziness there. So, as MLK said, and he had more powerful direct experience of people hating on him, he could have easily hated on others, just like Jesus could have easily hated on others. But he declined to do so. He said, again, coming back to that quote, nonviolence means avoiding not only external physical violence, but also internal violence of spirit. You not only refuse to shoot a man, but you refuse to hate him. So the audience person who sent in this question said, it's so hard not to be reactive about these people that inflict so much hate and hurt on innocent people, or if you're a vegan, on innocent animals. But we must remember to focus on love for all humanity. But how can we love people who are so evil? It doesn't feel right. Is there any information you may have on how to practice loving kindness, the Buddhist practice of loving kindness, when it comes to this dilemma? So we wrote down some notes about this, Vanessa, my producer, and I, and part of it says, you're not really trying to love Hitler, right? You're not really trying to love Trump. You don't need to get a little photo of Trump and, frame it and walk around with it and pet it and coo at it and smooch it. You don't have to love Trump, but you have to refuse to hate Trump, because hating is kind of too easy. If you refuse to hate Trump, you have to look at why you are not a fan of Trump at all. And that immediately reminds you of good qualities about human beings. There's a lot of human beings who are empathetic, who do care about truth, who do support and understand democracy and democratic principles, who do care about allying with decent other countries who are trying to, generally, however messed up they're trying to be decent on the world stage, who do look at climate change as a reality and want to address it. So it leads you to a more intelligent place. If you just hate someone, you're going to wind up, living alone in a house, screaming bloody murder at Trump for 2 hours a day like our neighbor here. She does. She literally goes over there and yells at Trump. And on some level, maybe that's admirable. It's pretty intense. She's really focusing on it, but she's just yelling at herself at Trump. And it's not actually, I'm pretty sure it's not really helping anything. Maybe in the ether or something is changing, but honestly, it just feels like a lot of aggression going out into the air. So that's all kind of how all of us are when we're investing our energy in hating someone. I have an ex in my life who has been a malignant force in my life. She's a little bit nuts, and I don't say that as an insult. I say that as a fact. I don't spend energy hating on her, not because I'm some virtuous person, but because she's not evil. She's confused. And you know what? I'm confused. You're confused. We're all confused. So it brings it back to a sort of human level where we can learn from it. In Buddhism, we talk about drive all blames into one. So it's the notion of taking responsibility, drive all blames into one. One, inconveniently, is, in my case, me. One, inconveniently, in your case, is you. The only person who doesn't have to blame himself is Redford. Redford, just shaking there, is innocent. So when we take responsibility, we say, well, Trump might be a malignant force on some level, but, it's up to me, and it's up to millions of other me's to advocate for kindness, for empathy, to go march on the streets and advocate for the children to be freed from their cages, to advocate for asylum to be legal again, really, to advocate for decency, to inspire people to vote, to inspire people to care, not out of aggression, like with the vegan analogy. Don't just go out and try to save the innocent animals out of aggression. Try to save the innocent animals out of arousing other people's empathy. So when I stare at vegan videos, or, videos that are not vegan at all, showing slaughterhouses, showing cows being pushed by metal cages into to get their lives ended, and I'm crying, and I'm looking at these videos, and I'm feeling just overwhelming, beautiful, heartbroken terror and empathy, and I want to save these poor animals that are being killed in a weekly animal holocaust. I mean, the numbers are staggering. Staggering. Billions of animals every year are killed because we like the taste of them, basically. There's no real health argument. In fact, there's a lot of health arguments against it. There's climate change argument against it. And yet we do it because, it tastes good. But if we vilify the steak eaters out there, it's not like the steak eaters are going to go home and cry into their steak. They're going to say, wow, that guy who I ran into at the beer garden, at the food truck, is a total jerk. And they're going to get defensive. They're going to get entrenched. In Buddhism, we say, aggression creates further aggression. Aggression creates aggression. So if you want to make what you hate bigger, hate it. If you want to make what you hate wake up and feel its own heart and change a little bit, attack it with love. And I say attack deliberately because Martin Luther King Jr.'s, or Henry David Thoreau, or Gandhi, Thich Nhat Hanh, the whole lineage of nonviolent civil disobedience isn't passive. We're not talking about sitting in your little pastel room doing loving kindness meditation. It's great to do meditation. I talk about meditation. You should do meditation. And meditation is active in a way. But it's not enough. You have to then take that meditation or that yoga or whatever off the mat, off the cushion, and actually show up and actually do something. And all of you know that. Hopefully all of you are doing something for the benefit of all in different ways. But if you're ever frustrated and self-righteous, angry about some injustice, the greatest way to make all that irritation and frustration go away immediately is to drive all blames into one and say, I'm going to do something about it. Not out of aggression. I'm going to go, get a whole bunch of vegans together for a vegan barbecue and invite non-vegans. And it might be a lot of effort. I might have a lot of dishes to do, but a whole bunch of non-vegans are going to come hang out with the vegans. We're all going to eat vegan stuff. It'll all be zero waste. We're not going to create more plastic for the oceans. And we're going to have a good time. And then meat eaters will realize, oh, this food can actually be good. It's a vegan potluck. I don't have to create tons of plastic waste. I can do a little home cooking. It's not that complicated. There's recipes on elephantjournal.com. And vegan people are actually kind of nice. They're not just vegans. They're normal people. Maybe not normal, but they're people, So drive all blames into one. Whenever you start hating, say, okay, I'm vegan. You're a murdering 3 times a day person. But I fly in planes, which creates a huge carbon footprint. When I'm biking around, I'm running over ants, right? What do I do that isn't that great? We're all creating not great things. And then you realize, oh, well, I have to fly. Maybe I'll offset it or whatever, which is great if you do. What you realize is we all make compromises. And hopefully we're aware, we're willing to look at our own compromises and try to make up for them directly or indirectly. But the point being that, meat eaters probably on some level do think about the animals they're eating. Maybe not often, but once in a while. And they're like, it's sort of sad, but I love burgers and I grew up with burgers and, then all the other BS sort of logic to support it comes in, like, I need protein. There's 6 times the daily recommended amount of protein in the average American. Too much protein is actually a bigger health problem than too little. But I think that's it. I think we've kind of covered it. Basically, stop investing in hate. It has a bad quarterly return. Start investing in taking responsibility, empathy, and actually enjoying and celebrating your life and being of service to all. And I'm saying that as much to myself as to any of you. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please review, comment, send in your questions. Always happy to discuss things from a very human level. I'm not trying to be some great teacher, because I'm not. I'm just taking what I have studied and meditated over and mixing it up with our present day society, our issues, our relationships, our habits, and sharing what little I can. So any faults are mine, and any benefit is thanks to the Dharma. Big love to everyone, and have a great day. Let's take a good posture, and with respect and friendliness. Thank you so much. Let's give it away. Thank you.